Jonathan Joestar is our main protagonist for JoJo's Part 1, Phantom Blood. He was born on April 4th, 1868 in England. He upholds the classic gentleman persona that was popular during that time period, but also takes it a step further with an intent of always finding justice and doing the right thing. When Jonathan was an infant, he and his two parents, George and Mary Joestar, were riding a horse carriage through very risky terrain, when suddenly, the driver slipped off course and the carriage crashed, killing the horse's driver and Jonathan's mother Mary. That caused Jonathan to grow up without a mother figure, and would have most definitely played a role in forming Jonathan's philosophy. As a child, Jonathan lacked manners and was a little on the dimmer side, despite always having good intentions. These traits didn't seem to be much of an issue until Jonathan's adopted brother Dio came into the family and his father began comparing the two. Dio's manners were impeccable compared to Jonathan's, and the same can be said about their intelligence, with Jonathan being scolded for not keeping up with the subjects Dio was able to grasp effortlessly. Jonathan resented Dio not only for this, but because Dio also stuffed Jonathan's dog Danny into a furnace and burned him alive.
Yeah, I think I would be a little pissed too.
The series skips ahead 8 years, and we now get to see Jonathan Joestar as 20 years old. Jonathan is now on a college football team and is studying archaeology in university, and George now sees both of his sons as equal. Jonathan and Dio are now on a football team together and play quite well. They appear to be great friends now, but if you thought that, you would be so very wrong. Behind each other's backs, Jonathan and Dio still despise each other. This culminates when Jonathan suspects that Dio is poisoning their father, and it's later revealed that that is in fact true. Jonathan is furious at Dio for bringing their father to death's door, but Jonathan maintains respect for Dio and calmly hands him into the hands of the police. This shows truly how much restraint and respect Jonathan has for Dio, because he doesn't do so much as lay a finger on Dio and only engages in battle with him after Dio turns into a vampire and murders Jonathan's father. This quote from Jonathan summarizes his look on justice perfectly. A true gentleman has to be brave enough to go into a fight he knows he'll lose. Jonathan says this to Irina after just getting the living shit kicked out of him by some bullies, and this scene displays this philosophy perfectly. He ran in to save her even though he knew he had no way of taking down that bully, let alone a second one. Yet he still ran in to save Irina. He did it because it was the good and righteous thing to do. He did it because it's what a true gentleman would do. Another and later instance of this philosophy is in Jonathan's fight against Tarkus. Jonathan enters the fight with his plan likely being, I'm going to punch this guy as hard as I can and hope he disintegrates into dust. Despite this lack of planning and clear disadvantage in this battle, he still enters the fight with the intention of protecting his friends and vanquishing evil. For some, this may seem illogical and moronic, but to others it's a testament to Jonathan's determination and drive to become and later maintain his title as a true gentleman. Jonathan's character within the story is made to have as few flaws as possible. He is the embodiment of pure good. In the first volume of the JoJaniac release of Phantom Blood, Araki says, "There are limitations on how I could write the character because he was a symbol of justice, so he may be a little on the boring side. He has no internal conflict and no areas where he improves as a person. He's just a good guy who does good things." The reason why Jonathan is written this way could be attributed to Araki's lack of experience writing manga at the time. However, it also serves a purpose in the grander scheme of the Joestar bloodline. Because of Jonathan's lack of character flaws, it allows the future Joestars to be even more flawed because they are related to him. For example, take Giorno Giovanna and Johnny Joestar. These two are in my opinion the most flawed Joestars, one of them being the son of Mr. Evil Incarnate himself known as Dio, and the other one being just an absolute jackass. If these two characters were the protagonists of their own random stories not related to JoJo or Jonathan at all, then some readers might have trouble sympathizing with them because of their flaws, especially in Johnny's case, where the main villain of Part 7, Funny Valentine, may be more sympathetic to Johnny in some cases. But it's because of Jonathan's lack of flaws that allows Araki to experiment with more morally looser protagonists, which is really interesting and refreshing to see in anime and manga. Jonathan's death is one that comes as a shock to many viewers. It was incredibly bold of Araki to kill off his protagonist, and for him to do it so early in the story was absolutely unheard of. However, I think everyone, or at least a vast majority of people, can agree that the decision to have Jonathan kick the bucket was a very good one. In my opinion, Part 1 is at its strongest, at the start and at the end, but the midsection is really where you can see Araki struggling as a writer, so it was vital that the story ends on a strong finish to cement Araki's capabilities as a writer, and to not have JoJo axed from Shonen Jump. And this death, along with the entire scene on the cruise ship, allows Part 1 to finish strong. We even see his character come full circle in this scene, as the very first time we met Jonathan, he saves Irina from a couple of bullies. Now, 8 years later, with his dying breath, he saves a baby whose mother was just murdered. From the first moment we meet Jonathan to the last couple of minutes he's on screen, he's determined to save lives from the wretched grasp of evil, and that is a true gentleman. These are the reasons why, despite his flaws deriving from Araki's inexperience in creating manga at the time, Jonathan rises above them and becomes a character that is great not only by himself, but especially as a greater part of a whole. His impact on the Joestar legacy and the entire JoJo's Bizarre Adventure franchise as a whole are undeniable and often go unappreciated. So if you were one of those people who disliked Jonathan before watching this video, then I hope I have given you some good counter-arguments and possibly even changed your mind. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. A true gentleman has to be brave enough to go into a fight he knows he'll lose. That's my British accent impression. There you go. A true gentleman has to be brave enough to go into a fight he knows he'll lose.